is in effect until 1:45, simply because it's been spotted by radar. If someone spots it, you know, we get what we call ground truth from law enforcement or a weather spotter, we'll certainly let you know. But at this point, it's radar indicated. Now, this box denotes power outages. I think we're going to see a lot more of this as the afternoon goes on. It's listing 100 right now, but I'm sure it's going to go up quite a bit. You saw just some of the tree branches down and all that from our live shot there in Raymondville. So again, winds, we had some pretty good gusts today. Okay, let me do the winds first. 62-mile-an-hour peak gust at Harlingen, 68 at McAllen. And that's, yeah, that's big stuff. Now, I've got a live shot out of Hidalgo County in Farr, correct? I got Frank McCaffrey in Farr. Frank, let's go ahead and ask you what you see and how things are faring in Hidalgo County.
That's right, I am here live at the Farr Bureau, and I got to tell you what I'm seeing right now. The rain has started coming down very heavily in the last 10 or 15 minutes. There's a lot of wind here. I should also tell you that I'm wearing my glasses, not just because I'm getting older and need to see, but because there was a lot of dust coming in. I was getting into my eyes now. That's been replaced by rain. These roads are getting very wet. This is new rain. That means it's very dangerous. And of course, as you've seen in your daily commutes, there is still road work being done on the highways here in this part of the valley. So we have to tell you, be very, very careful. The rains are coming down very heavy now. The wind is blowing heavy. I'm a big guy, so I can stand here stationary. But we want to warn you that when you're driving, this is new rain on the road, and there is construction work. So that's double the trouble. And if you see standing water on this road, don't drive through it. Remember, there's an old saying, you've ever heard this one? Go around, don't drown. Live and Farr, I'm Frank McCaffrey.
Fantastic, Frank, and somewhere there's a box of fish sticks with your name on it, because that was a really good looking shot. I much appreciate that. Yeah, Brian, still.
Don't mean to interrupt you there, Brian Gill. We just got a report from the National Weather Service that some people are starting to see circulation coming over Los Fresnos. So that's right at the outer edge of that polygon there with the tornado warning that is in effect until 1:45. So that's not to say there's a tornado on the ground, but it looks like out of Rio Hondo and by Los Fresnos, there are ground reports right now that some is churning up in the sky. There is some level of rotation, has not dropped, but that is right now being reported to the National Weather Service. That's not radar indicated. Those are eyes on the ground.
And it's important. Thank you, Brian. And it's important to note that there's something called low-level circulation, and then there is the deeper circulation, like the tornadoes you see near Dallas or in Oklahoma. Those big ones, no, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about potential low-level circulation in the clouds that would not produce one of those Oklahoma bad ones. It would just simply maybe produce a quick turn of wind that would, a vortex that might knock over a shed or a fence or a tree. So that's something what we're talking about here, the potential for something like this could be. So that's worth noting. Thank you, Brian, for that, because that's important to note that people are actually starting to notice the circulation in the clouds that could contribute to further wind damage anywhere in this area. But again, I want to emphasize, we're not talking about an EF3 or 4 like you see when you go on YouTube and see tornadoes from Arkansas or Oklahoma or North Texas. Not talking about that. What we're talking about here is the potential for limited damage from any wind vortex that might come on down through. So, having said that, this tornado warning is in effect until, let's see, thunderstorm warning until 1:30, tornado warning until 1:45 on down through Bayview and Los Fresnos, but we've noticed that circulation there on the other side. Have we noticed, if we could, Brian, get a clean look at the reflectivity, just reflectivity, and notice that we're not seeing that telltale hook in the reflectivity. That's something that is handy, but you can also see it. Yeah, there we go. You know, we're starting to see some building back in like that, which that tells me that that's where that circulation is showing up near Rio Hondo, is that area. Anytime it cuts down like that, yeah, right there. Anytime it cuts down like that, that's where we look to see if there's any circulation in the storm. So that's worth noting that yes, indeed, but not to the degree of a very sharp hook that you'd see on one up north. So that tells us that yes, we could very well see more damaging winds as a result. Look at that, 82, 83. This is estimated by radar, 60 miles an hour, 77 miles an hour estimated by radar. So we're going to have trees down. We're going to have limbs down. We've got power lines down. And remember, stay away from the power lines. Just because a power line is down doesn't mean it's off. And you don't get a second chance. With tens of thousands of volts passing through a power line, it's over. So please stay away from them at all costs. Looking at continued coverage here, talking about the thunderstorm warning and tornado warning that continues on down across anywhere from Weslaco. I'll walk across the screen here. From Weslaco on down more, and away we go into the coast. And that's where most of the activity is right now. But again, I'm not going to dismiss the Upper Valley. And let's go. Is Frank ready to, does Frank have an update? Okay, I've got some live video out of FAR. I'd love to see that. There you can see it's raining cats and dogs, as my grandmother used to say, and it is indeed continuing on. Now, the winds don't seem to have been quite as impactful on the backside of this system in and around the McAllen area, except to say we had a 62-mile-an-hour gust when this all first came through. Remember, the leading edge of these thunderstorms, there's two parts of the thunderstorm phase that generate very strong winds. The leading edge, that generates them, and of course on back when the thunderstorm dies or cycles. When it dies, it gives off its last gasp, its dying breath, if you will, and that can generate very strong winds as well as the initial part of the thunderstorm. And actually the mechanics of that is very interesting. The rain that gushes out of the front of a thunderstorm, and the friction of all those raindrops traveling through the atmosphere enhances the wind speed. Yeah, I know, it sounds almost crazy, but it's true. It sounds kind of like Willy Wonka. But no, it's honestly true that the heavy rains gushing out of the front of a thunderstorm enhance the wind speeds. So that's something we've been looking at for sure out of this. And again, I want to remind everybody that we still have a long way to go with this activity pushing on south through Port Mansfield and down through Elsa. Now I want to go back to meteorologist Jessica Kirk and see what she's got going on in terms of coverage and in terms of knowledge about storms just like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also have heard that we have storm reports already of those wind gusts exceeding that 62 to 68 mile per hour mark. So we will be keeping track of that as well as you go into these next couple of hours. Tornado warning is still on the ground. That's this red box right here. Bayview is included just outside of Los Fresnos. But remember, we are not seeing a tornado on the ground right now. This is one of those circumstances where whether you're in the tornado warning or if you're in the severe thunderstorm warning or if you're not in the severe thunderstorm warning, but you're still seeing all of this heavy rain, frequent lightning, it's just a good idea to stay inside. I mean, stay indoors and stay away from windows because you can get debris flying around with this. Let's go ahead and check the timing of this just one more time, and then we'll talk about the hail for a minute here. Let's see here. So, that's our severe thunderstorm warning that is on. And let's see what we got here for our rain. Bayview 138. So right now it's 122. So we're looking at about 16 minutes. And Laguna Vista 148. So that's roughly, what is that, 26 minutes for those coastal areas until we're going to see some of that. I'm going to go ahead and move forward and we'll take a look at some of the hail explainers that we have going on. This is our hail tracker. So it's where we've likely seen hail so far. Even if you're not under that severe thunderstorm warning, you could still see hail below that half-inch mark or so in diameter. And not to cut you off there, Jessica, speaking of not under that severe thunderstorm warning, we had sort of, not to say left behind, southern Hidalgo and southern Starr County. The National Weather Service has just issued a new severe thunderstorm warning. This includes Edinburgh proper, Alton, McAllen, and Hidalgo, and Rio Grande City. And that is in effect until 1:45 of this afternoon. So a new severe thunderstorm warning just issued for southern Starr County and southern Hidalgo County until 1:45 this afternoon. They had not been included with that warned storm earlier, but there's enough strength in the intensity that they are now under the warning for the exact same reason that the rest of the lower valley is and just the southern viewing is, because we've been tracking these storms as they continue to march across the valley. So the same threats that we were just talking about in Cameron County, Sands,
the rotation up into the atmosphere, those same threats, the hail, the damaging winds, radar estimated at least 70 miles an hour at least, and the severe hail of at least 1 inch.
And do we have an update on that tornado warning?
We have not gotten an update on that tornado warning yet, other than that the National Weather Service is continuing the tornado warning, so they're still keeping it in place. But as far as any other ground reports, nothing else has come out yet for that tornado warning in eastern Cameron County.
So we can take a look at that one more time as well, because some of you guys aren't even necessarily seeing heavy rain yet. I promise you it's on the way. We're looking at Bayview once again around 1:43 p.m., Laguna Vista 1:50 p.m. to see this mess as it heads through. So we don't have an update on the circulation, but we're not seeing a tornado on the ground. We're seeing rotation high in the atmosphere. So this is just stay inside, stay away from windows. Make sure you're not out driving. Tell your friends, don't be on the road right now. That's not a very smart idea as we're dealing with all this. Willacy County still in the thick of it as well. Southern Willacy County and also coastal Willacy County still remains in that severe thunderstorm warning as well. We can go ahead and we'll review the hail one more time. This is the hail tracker that I just mentioned a moment ago. It looks like Willacy County seeing a great deal of the possibility of seeing some of this heavier, larger hail. Starr County as well seeing the possibility of this. This is past, not future. So this is what we've already seen, where we've likely seen hail. We're expecting all these purple areas to kind of grow bigger and extend further southward as we go throughout the next little bit. And by the way, we've already seen hail close to that 2-inch mark. Severe is when you get to a quarter, 1 inch in diameter. And then we've already seen 1.5 inches and 1.75 inches recorded according to radar. That's radar indicated. We can continue to see tennis ball sized hail along with baseball sized hail. So that's what we're looking forward to. We have a tennis ball right here. See if I can catch this on air. There you go. This is a tennis ball. I'm a little bit of a small person, but imagine this hitting you in the head. So that's an idea to be inside as you go over the next couple of hours. Thank you, Brian Hill. But we can go ahead back and we'll see what's going on radar right now. Check on an update for that tornado warning, which it looks like, let's go ahead and see what's going on over here. So we're still under the severe thunderstorm warning for southern Starr, southern Hidalgo, and all of Cameron County. And it looks like we also have Frank on standby once again. Frank McCaffrey over in the FAR Bureau, is that?
Yep.
So we'll go ahead and toss it to him. Frank, what do you got going on out there? What does it feel like?
Yes, that's right. It is coming down pretty hard and heavy. There's a lot of wind here and far. You can see I'm actually holding my hood here because I don't want it to blow off. And yes, I'm still wearing my glasses because I don't want anything to get in my eye. There's a lot of wind, guys. And if you look at these roads, there's still a lot of people driving out there now. If you're going to do that, please exercise a lot of caution. This is new rain on the road. It's been coming down over the last perhaps half hour or so. And there is a lot of road work here on the highways in McAllen and FAR and in this part of Hidalgo County. I'm sure you're all very well aware of that. You've been seeing it on your daily commute. But the winds came in very strong. First, it started with dust blowing into the air and, again, getting into our eyes. And then suddenly the rain just came pouring down. This is probably about 15 to 20 minutes ago. It is actually very, very, very stormy here in FAR in this part of the valley. Now, we have to tell you, if you see standing water on the road, make sure you don't drive through it. Remember the old expression, go around, don't drown. Live and FAR, I'm Frank McCaffrey.
Thank you so much, Frank. It looks crazy out there. We can hear the rain from here. Here at the studio, we're getting some rain too. Let's take one more quick look, and then I'm going to toss things over to Brian Hale. Right now, we're still having a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for southern portions of Starr County, southern portions of Hidalgo County, all of Cameron County, and the very southern edge of Willacy County as well. So that's what we're dealing with as we go over the next couple of hours. We've seen wind speeds upwards of that 60-mile-per-hour mark. Radar estimates have been closer to that 70 to 80-mile-per-hour mark for wind gusts. Frank was in the FAR Bureau for us. He was seeing pouring rain, people still on the roads. And if you're on I-2, or if you know people driving on I-2, it might not be pouring quite yet, but this mess is headed south as we speak. We also still have a tornado warning for eastern portions of Cameron County. We do not have a tornado on the ground. I repeat, we do not have a tornado on the ground. So this is not panic mode. This is just make sure that you're staying inside, that you're staying away from windows, and really you should be doing that even if you're not in the tornado warning, because once again, We are seeing some hail close to that 2-inch in diameter mark, close to that tennis ball sized hail. So it's just a good idea to stay indoors. Let's go ahead and toss things over to Brian Hale, Chief Meteorologist Brian Hale, and see what else you got going on.
Well, I've got some video that's been in from Willacy County, and you can see that it's just been a mess out there in Willacy County. Things moving along, just grinding through Willacy County, and of course everybody in their mind's eye thinking, what are the wind turbines doing right now? I think they'll be fine. But nonetheless, look at the homes, look at the tree limbs. All of that's going to be a continued issue across Willacy County, that's for sure. And as well, we've shown you images from Hidalgo County and FAR, and all of it has looked much the same. A lot of wind and a lot of rain. Now, there's been a lot of crowing about hail and hail size. That has not come to pass just yet. We've looked at some of our hail tracker, and it has not demonstrated the hail like we had on Friday, but who's complaining, right? Right. But again, we're going to keep an eye on the storms as they continue to develop and continue to gush on down, and we have the updated warnings. Let's go ahead and walk through those. We're talking, yes? Oh, no, cut me off, please.
On our side here, the storms are moving so fast that we're actually having trouble gathering data where we don't have the most recent radar feed at the moment. So there's a few things that need to be reset on our side. And then once those happen, we're going to get a better picture. Just bear with me, folks, as we kind of talk this through. Right now, it is raining in Harlingen. If you're in Harlingen, you just have to hear the thunder and lightning. But right now, the line of storms is actually approaching Brownsville at the moment. It is on their doorstep right as we speak, and we're also
we're going to take some video outside the station and let you see just how things are rolling on through. Yeah,
and we're also seeing to see that line. That's a live look right outside of our NBC 23 CBS 4 studios here on Harlingen. Hopefully my car survives this, but the insurance company will say that that dent was there beforehand. Right now that line of storms is racing through McAllen. It has arrived in southern Hidalgo County. Again, just bear with me as I talk through this while we wait to get our data products restarted and reset. Rio Grande City is starting to see that rain at the moment, again, right into central and entering far southern Cameron County, southmost point area of Cameron County. They're about to see those rains, those showers coming in. So this is one of those situations where we always say that you just got to stay indoors, stay inside because of the weather coming through. Now, the National Weather Service has updated that severe thunderstorm warning in Cameron County as a destructive severe thunderstorm warning. So that takes it up a little bit of a scale. That's to say, like, yes, this is on the ground. Yes, we are going to get plenty more reports of damage of lines down. I know tonight on NBC 23 at 5 and CBS at 5:30, we're going to go over plenty of what reports have been seen out there across the entire valley. But again, right now, we're waiting to reset some of our radar to get the most accurate image. So again, just bear with me with my voice right now.
Yeah, and we also have the thunderstorm warning that continues, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the area until 2:15. That includes Cameron County and running on down in toward Brownsville. We have an issue with strong winds. There you can see some of the rain and the strong winds pushing on through to the south, and that's been 80-mile-an-hour winds. That's going to continue to be a problem as well. 80-mile-an-hour winds are not what we want to see. So, Brian, I know that some of the data that we're looking at is outmoded, but then again, that's just the way it goes. I'm resetting one of our computers right now. Why don't you just show the folks right there what you've got in terms of the latest?
That's right, Freddie. Again, we have other sources of data. We're just waiting to get our maps reset back here. But right now, this line of storms that are still showing at the top of Cameron County, they're not there at the moment. Again, just bear with me with my voice. That line is maybe just towards the south of Nuevo Progreso, going through Tamaulipas, through Mexico, and is right now on the doorstep moving into Brownsville at the moment. Again, the darker shade of yellow right here, almost a peachy color, that is for the destructive severe thunderstorm warning that is now into effect until about 2:15 this afternoon. And that is part of the indicated over 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts that we've seen. And again, a look out towards all of Hidalgo County, as well as that line it's moving past Hidalgo County as well. Taking a live look out right now from our FAR Bureau just to see plenty of that rain showers and seeing everything
Frank,
out there. And
right
we
now.
do have Frank McCaffrey out in far. Now, Frank, it looks a little bit better out there, but what was it like not too long ago?
Well, not too long ago, it looked like a major storm with a lot of wind, and it was just blowing everywhere. Now, I am not a meteorologist like my good friend Brian Hale and the rest of the Valley Storm team, but yes, indeed has slowed down. But we've seen another problem. I'm standing here in front of the I-2 frontage here in FAR. The issue...
All right, we were having a bit of audio issues with Frank there, but again, just a bit of a visualization. The worst of this is at least where we can give some all clears at the moment, where the worst of the storm has passed. In northern Starr County, including San Ysidro, the worst of it is past. You're still going to see plenty of rain showers, but the strongest of the storm is over. In northern Hidalgo County, including San Manuel Lin, that has passed as well, and we're not seeing any more severe issues for now across the valley. In Willacy County, northern Willacy County, including parts of Raymondville and Port Mansfield, so far the worst of it is gone. It's still storming out there for a bit, but the worst of it is gone at the moment. And again, here are the bigger concern parts at the moment. That is going to be southern Cameron County, including the city of Brownsville, and all points towards the east, towards the coast, and towards the west along 281. They're seeing the strongest of the weather right now, including the storm that was almost capable of producing a tornado, but that warning has since expired.
Let's go ahead and switch to Links 1. It looks like we have our maps reloaded, and I did want to emphasize that that tornado warning is canceled. So we're dealing with that destructive thunderstorm warning. The severe thunderstorm warnings are still in effect, but the tornado warning is no longer in effect at the moment. So I just wanted to go ahead and say that. Brian, still you're up. Go ahead.
Yeah, there we go. So I'm just waiting for my computer to boot up there. But yeah, so there's that updated image that I was talking about there. This is the more accurate view of where the storm is at the moment. As zooming in real quick, we're going to see there's actually plenty of ponding on the road. We're zooming in right here along Interstate 2 because of the amount of rain that has fallen. There's been a bit of ponding on the roads, and as soon as we get a shot from that, we're going to show you guys as well, because it has just been
yeah, we've got the video image right now. That's from Mercedes? Yeah, and you can see that the roads are plenty wet out there, and the rain is coming on down, that being a TechStat camera there in Mercedes, and showing us that, yeah, it's just not good driving weather out there whatsoever, but the storm is continuing to march on down to the south, and the data interruption has now been resolved. That's just what happens, folks. You know, when you get a storm like this moving on through, data gets interrupted, and we do the best we can, and we try to serve as best we can. And also, you can see that we have this line of storms pushing now southeast of San Benito. We've known this was going to be the track. We've known this was how it was going to push through. Now we have what's left over of the thunderstorm warnings. Jessica, if you want to hit that thunderstorm warning for Cameron County, and that is until 2:15 as all this runs on through.
We have a new tornado warning.
And a new tornado warning just issued. There we go, until 2 o'clock. That's until 2 o'clock, but this is for south of Laguna Vista, on back in southwest of Port Isabel. Then you've got the Port of Brownsville right down here. Right here, the Port of Brownsville, and that's a pretty rural area, but except we do have the State Highway 48, and then of course you have the Port of Brownsville, and then Boca Chica. That's all going to be potentially impacted by that as I get my bearings here. And then, yeah, Boca Chica right here, just east of the impacted area. But again, not a tornado per se. This is what's just showing up on radar, and that's going to continue to be a threat in terms of strong winds, and in terms of winds that will be circulating and making a mess of things. And do we have other video?
It looks like we have a camera out in Brownsville, just to show current conditions out there, a live look from our TechStat cameras there. Just again, anyone who is on the road right now, I hope, I know the speed limit is 65, 70. I sure hope they're not doing that, especially to avoid the risk of hydroplaning out there on the roads. Just the winds gusting from this again. Radar indicated at least 80 miles an hour, and we have confirmation from weather sensors between Harlingen, between Brownsville and McAllen that yes, they have been over 60 miles an hour, which is still very dangerous. So anyone, similar to what we've heard earlier today, if you don't have to go out just try to avoid it. Wait until way later into the evening, just after all of this passes, and to also make sure that emergency crews out there have the chance to help clear some of the roads, and that they can respond to any emergencies that may be there within their local communities. If we can take a quick back look here on our Lynx 1 computer, just to show where the storm is currently. Again, right now the thick of it is on its way closer towards Brownsville, that tornado warning.
And Brian, note that the warning itself, the thunderstorm warning, has been given a precursor of destructive.
Yes, that word up there, destructive. And that's, again, because we've already seen at least 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts from some of these, from the storms coming in, and some of the radar indices also had over 100 miles an hour. Now, did that happen at that moment? Not quite, just because of the way radar works and its altitude and the altitude that the beam goes on as it looks up to the skies. But yeah, this has the precursor of a destructive severe thunderstorm as it continues to push further off towards the coast, and then zooming out towards South Padre Island. The cities of South Padre Island and Port Isabel, they're under the gun right now. Again, we got our lightning back just to show, again, just the amount of lightning that's with this storm as well, especially towards Laguna Vista, Holly Beach, Port Isabel, South Padre Island, Boca Chica. Whatever's left of that launch pad from Thursday, it's going to get washed away for all intents and purposes because of the storms coming through. And again, right there's the radar site. That's at Brownsville South Padre International Airport. That's where the radar is, and that is about to be hit. So from the loss of data products that we had on our side, it may be a tad bit worse, just because we're going to be dealing with the chance for the loss of power out there across the area. Now, Brian, let's see here.
Hold on, Brian. I'm messing with you. I want to give you Corpus Christi's radar.
Good call.
To kind of show you.
We're going to take Corpus Christi's radar from Lynx 2. We're going to take Corpus Christi radar from
I have it on 1.
Lynx.
You can do it on 2.
We can do it on 2. So this is to give another perspective. Heaven forbid, should the Brownsville radar go down, we have some additional help from Corpus Christi. This is just to give another angle. It's showing in general the same position of these storms. Now, we're not going to quite measure the wind speeds radar indicator with this, just because of geography and the curvature of the earth. But again, this is just to give that illustration of where the strongest of the storms are. Again, towards the southern half of Cameron County, especially towards Laguna Vista. I would not be surprised in the slightest if there is some hail with that. And yes, right now, so far from that radar indicated 3/4 of an inch from that particular center. We're expecting to be through Laguna Vista in about 3 minutes at 1:44. Port Isabel, there you can see at 1:51. And then Boca Chica Beach is going to be there in a few minutes, not too long from now. And that's just where the strongest, that's where our biggest concern is. And again, this just happens to be the area that is also under that destructive severe thunderstorm warning and that tornado warning until about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Zooming out towards the rest of the valley, just to give a few more all clears. Again, these are just a few more. You're not going to get the worst of it, but it's a lot better at the moment. Harlingen is a lot better. It's a lot calmer. We were hearing the rain pounding down on top of the studio. That is not the case anymore. Monte Alto, we were talking about you guys for a little bit earlier, including Elsa, La Villa, San Carlos. You guys are better now. You're not the best. It's still a little bit wet out there, but you're certainly better, and that's also the case for Edinburgh. We're still dealing with a bit of heavy rain going through McAllen, Granejo, Hidalgo, and then out towards La Jolla, Alton, Mission, and then along the Rio Grande towards Alto Bonito, Rio Grande City. We're still dealing with some issues, Sullivan City as well.
And it looks like
whereas that stronger rain goes. Yes, Jessica.
We have a new warning issued. It's a new severe thunderstorm warning for southern Cameron County, and they also continued the destructive thunderstorm warning for southern portions of Cameron County. So we are still dealing with warnings in Cameron County and southern Star and southern Hidalgo County. Those are all the warnings that are on the board, along with the tornado warning that remains in eastern portions of Cameron County as well.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. Yeah, so we've been, this has been so far holding out pretty strong to that timing we gave earlier in the morning when we cut in to say, hey, between about 11, noon, 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, that's when these would be passing by. And sure enough, that is the case. For that, again, just a reminder, there's the tornado warning that is in effect for far southeastern Cameron County. That is until 2 o'clock. Just reiterating what Jessica said, the destructive severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 2:15 for southern Cameron County, including the cities of South Padre Island, Laguna Vista, Bayview, Los Fresnos, and Brownsville. San Benito, you are not in that newer warning. Neither is Harlingen, Primera, or Rio Hondo, or La Feria. And then we still have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect for southern Hidalgo County until 1:45, so that's in about 2 more minutes.
That one, I think they're expiring right now.
It looks like they're going to let that one expire, so in about 2 more minutes, the worst of it is gone, but that is still in effect for southern Hidalgo County and for Rio Grande City and Starr County as well. That threat is almost gone as these storms continue to push up again. They've been sort of racing fast towards the southeast at about 35 to 40 miles an hour, a little bit further in some other places as it's been sort of bowing out. But again, our biggest concern right now is that destructive severe thunderstorm warning and the tornado warning that's in effect for Cameron County for about another 15 to 30 minutes.
And Brian, refocus on the Brownsville coverage because the National Weather Service is saying that there's a squall line capable of producing very, very strong winds getting ready to move on in through the Brownsville area. And is that Brownsville's radar or Corpus's radar?
This is Brownsville's radar.
Okay. So, and you can just see that is a really dangerous situation. But I want you see that donut in the middle? I'm going to take control of your Lynx 1 for just a second.
Let me step out of here for you. There you go.
I'm going to let you
go right ahead.
Show the folks exactly what's going on here as we have reflectivity, Brownsville, and then...
Oh, it looks like we just got issued an aerial flood advisory as well. So just know that could see some road flooding as we go over the next little bit as well.
Okay, now I'm going to pop to that. Then I'm going to pop. Here we go. Here's Corpus's radar.
There we go.
And then you can see just what's going on. Now I'll let you have control back. And you can see just how things are pushing on through.
Here you go. You should be good now, Brian.
There we go. Yeah. So just continuing to just push on through further and further towards the valley. Still working on
and that allows you to, we'll zoom in for you. Don't worry about it. Talking about, instead of advancing, we'll go back to that radar shot and we'll show the good.
He's got it.
You got it?
I got it.
There we go.
Okay. All right. So basically, now you can see Brownsville clear because explain to the viewers that there is an umbrella effect over a radar.
Yes.
A radar cannot see straight up. There are special radars that do, but our regular weather radar does not. So what's happening here is the Corpus radar is able to look down into Brownsville quite clearly.
Yeah, and that's why we have a network of, these radars are scattered all across the country through the National Weather Service, and a lot of colleges and universities with their meteorology departments have them too, because there's also blind spots with radars. And again, a lot of that has to actually do with the curvature of the Earth. When you think of beam, think of like a pole, it can only do so much because eventually the Earth kind of curves downward and that pole sort of goes away, which is why we're using our radar in Corpus Christi right now to sort of give us that additional information to show that right now towards Boca Chica, the storm is on their doorstep for sure. But
Brownsville, Brian, Brownsville is just, again, the National Weather Service saying that 80-mile-an-hour winds plus could be blowing in through that populated area.
And to give an idea of in Brownsville where the strongest right now is, it's along Boca Chica Boulevard, heading out towards towards the beach, and along Highway 48. That's where we're starting to see the strongest of that, and also towards downtown Brownsville. And then again, pretty soon it's going to be heading further towards the south, towards the southmost point of Texas. That will be on your doorstep here in a little bit. Just given the heavy rain, the winds are a huge concern. Today was more of a wind concern than it was a hail concern, and so far reports from winds have delivered as far as the severity that we've been tracking across the valley. And we're going to continue to share any reports that we get from either the National Weather Service, or if you come in or share anything at share@valleycentral.com, we'll continue to share any information of any damages, hail, tree limbs.
Speaking of which, we have power outages for you.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say excellent, but yeah, right now we have current power outages being reported from AEP at 26,375, and from Magic Valley Cooperative at 5,000. 5,513. So that's over 30,000 customers across the valley without power. And again, that's just a live view map across the valley. And right now, the biggest areas reporting those power outages, you would suspect would be where the more populated areas are in southern Hidalgo County, towards McAllen, Edinburgh, and over towards Harlingen, and then out towards Brownsville. They're going to get a lot more reports here in the near future. And it's not just us in the valley that dealt with this. This was almost a statewide event. We talked yesterday how the threat from severe weather was expanded further than we saw on Friday, reaching all the way up towards Corpus and towards Laredo. They had their issues late last night into earlier tomorrow morning, and then sure enough, it is now our turn across the valley to see those issues across the area. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, hold on just one second.
One more thing. We've got notice from the National Weather Service here that we have, this is for the Brownsville area, they're asking people to please stay indoors and to stay indoors in the central part of their home and away from glass because of the threat of such strong winds blowing through that area of the city of Brownsville and the surrounding areas. So you're advised, if you're in the Brownsville area, to please take shelter in your home and to stay away from the windows and such and so forth, because think of this as a hurricane situation.
Yes,
really.
Absolutely.
That's the best way we can translate it here in the valley. This isn't Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is the Rio Grande Valley, and we're accustomed to hurricanes and tropical storms. So it's the same type of mentality you need to have right now in the Brownsville area, is to avoid the glass and stay in the center of your home and wait for this to pass. If you're in a mobile home or a less than brick structure, you might want to immediately find a neighbor and get to that part of safety.
That is true. And this goes to any winter Texans that may still be here in the valley, especially those who may also be from the Midwest or from Oklahoma, like Brian referenced. Normally, and I count myself because that's from the area I am, normally we would be told to go into the basement of our house. That is obviously not an option here. So what Brian and Jessica just said, that is the next best thing, is to go to the most interior room in your home, and preferably a fixed structured home. So a mobile home is not a good idea at the moment. A park shelter is not a good idea. A fixed structure, the most interior room, away from windows, and put as many walls in between you and the outdoors as you can, as we continue to see the storm pass through the area. And that's just one of the, again, this is not normal for us here in the valley.
Certainly isn't.
When we saw that this was a possibility, here in the studio, our alarm bells were starting to go off, and like, we need to be prepared for this, which is why we were trying to give as much lead time as we could from this for the timing. But right now in Brownsville, in the city of Brownsville, especially right now, it looks like the strongest, at least of the rain, between Highway 4 and Boca Chica Boulevard and Highway 48. That's where that bulk of rain is right there.
Well, Brian, I'm going to let you, we're going to come back to me, and I'm going to let you call up the wind analysis on radar.
Yes.
So let's do that first so we can show the folks the latest and the worst on what's going on in the Brownsville area. And I've got live video from TWCKodster camera, Brownsville. Yep, TWCKodster camera in Brownsville. So let's go ahead and take that as soon as we can. There you go. And you can see that,
the tornado warning has just expired.
Okay, the tornado warning has expired, thank goodness, but the advice warning hasn't, and the advice is stay off the roads, stay at home, get to the center of your home, and ride this thing out as it pushes on through the Rio Grande Valley. Yeah, you can see that the wind analysis shows, we can't look at the Corpus radar on wind analysis this far out, but nonetheless, you're seeing, the 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, and a little bit more toward Brownsville.
Brownsville also just recorded 58 mile per hour wind gusts
58
as well.
That pretty much savvies with what we're seeing in this area of southeastern Cameron County for the strong winds. When these thunderstorms die, they give off that last gasp, and it can be a horrific wind. And again, that's what we've seen, whether it's the prefrontal wind coming with the rain on the front side of the thunderstorm, or it's the death knell, the dying gasp of a thunderstorm. Both can be horrifically powerful in terms of generating winds. So as that passes on through the Brownsville area, you know, whether you're in Cameron Park or southmost or near the port of Brownsville, just go ahead and stay battened down for the now, that's for sure. Did we have FAR available with Frank? All right, let's when we get to him, let's talk to Frank, because we have the last of the heavy stuff moving out. Here's Alamo, FAR, McAllen, and Grand Heno, Hidalgo, and Mission. Still seeing the last of this really heavy stuff moving on through. So, Frank, take it away.
Yes, that's right, Brian. You are right. I am not a meteorologist like you or the rest of the Valley Storm team, but it has slowed down here. There is something I do want to point out, however. We are noticing, I'm facing the I-2 frontage here in FAR, that there is a lot of flooding on the side of the road, and a lot of cars are driving through that flood and making a huge splash. And again, that is something that is a potential danger, and of course, that's also a potential danger when you take into consideration the fact that we have a lot of this construction work that has been going on for some time here in this part of the valley. So again, you know, please don't speed. If you don't have to go somewhere, just stay at home. Listen to the experts, guys. The Valley Storm team knows what they're talking about. If you want to stay, if you have to go somewhere, go, but just stay home unless it's an absolute must. I know there's people who are probably coming home from church or going to other events, but if you can stay home, because we are looking at these roads right now, and I can tell you there's a lot of flooding on the side of the road. Now, when it's relatively new rain, that of course often means that the roads are actually more slick. So there's a lot of semis out here that I'm seeing. There's a lot of smaller sedan type cars. This could be very dangerous. And if you see standing water, just remember the old saying, we've been repeating it here a few times on the air. Remember the old saying, go around and don't drown. I'm going to toss it back to you guys. I'm live in FAR, Frank McCaffrey.
Thank you, Frank. Outstanding. Before we go to my Port Isabel camera, I'll let you see some of the rainfall totals estimated by radar from 1.25 inches near La Jolla on through Elsa getting 1 inch to Harlingen 0.8. Now that looks like small ball to me, but when it comes down all at once, it floods the roads. So that's worth noting, absolutely. And the wind has been, as Brian Still pointed out earlier, the wind has been the real lead in this story. The hail kind of took a back seat. Unlike Friday, where it took the lead, the wind was the lead this time and has continued to generate 50, 60, 70 mile an hour sustained and gusts on through. So that's going to continue on down to the southeast. Has that tornado warning been massaged, or is it still there?
It's going to be expired at 2 o'clock. It looks like they're not keeping it. So the tornado warning will, it is set to expire at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the destructive severe thunderstorm warning, that is still set to expire at 2:15 as it continues to push its way south and out of the valley and out of Cameron County.
And we have a camera, TxDOT camera out of Port Isabel. To see what's going on the east side of all of that. As you can see, there's Boca Chica, SPI, and Port Isabel right there. And if we've got that ready, we can go ahead and take that, whilst I remind everybody that the debris on the road is going to be an issue for several hours yet. You know, you're driving along and all of a sudden, there's something right in front of you, especially after the sun goes down on the rural roads. They might not get cleaned up for hours and hours, and maybe even into tomorrow, depending on what's blown around. So again, avoid power lines no matter what. And of course, keep your eyes open for anything on the roads that might have blown around. So,
and just a quick comment. So my uncle came down towards the island. He was here, as many people were, for everything that was happening on the island and on the coast. And he's been in contact with me, just some of the things he's been saying, because he was staying at Beach Park at Isla Blanca.
Yeah, Jessica, can you give me a reflectivity on this BAM image here?
Yeah, so he was staying at Beach Park at Isla Blanca. He was there with his camper. And one of the things that he was saying is that a lot of people were nervous out there. And we pointed out earlier, when the National Weather Service said to stay indoors, the people there did the right thing. They actually sought shelter in some of the restroom areas, and had some good cinder block right there. And they're hunkered down. But the roads on South Padre Island, he's saying, are already starting to flood as well.
Yeah.
Which isn't surprising, honestly. Especially
when they're 2 feet above sea level, it's not surprising.
And not surprising at all. And so we're starting to see some island flooding. There's an aerial flood advisory that's out out towards more rural parts of Cameron, Willacy, and Hidalgo County, but that is still in effect. The way the map is, it's not going to quite show it too well, but where that light green outline is,
up
that's
into Willacy.
The first of the aerial flood warnings that's in effect until later this evening. That's again, they got a lot of rain in a little time.
Yeah, indeed, and that's it. Just because you got an inch doesn't matter if it comes in 10 minutes. Port Isabel. We have a look at Port Isabel now. The camera is available, I've been told. There's Port Isabel, and you can see it. Holy smokes. Yeah, and you can see the bridge is plenty busy.
Line of people up there, yeah, trying to get off the island. I
guess trying to get off the island before the roads take a turn for the worse. But again, that's an image of what I remember Hurricane Dolly. Gee whiz, that kind of looks like Hurricane Dolly there. With the trees are blowing and the wind, you can't hardly see your hand in front of your face when it comes to the rain. And we also have another camera video. That's video out of far. And things are starting to calm down there, as we pointed out the back side of that, all moving on down to the south across into Mexico. So that's a big plus for us. You can see the now back here to me in the studio, we can see that we have that flood advisory on in through from Bayview to South Padre Island down to Boca Chica and back over on the north side of Brownsville. So that means when you get off the highway, all of a sudden, you know, the interchange is flooded. The highway where you were wasn't, but now the interchange is, and you're in deep trouble. So that's worth noting. Now, all right, now we're cooking with the rainfall here. 2.8 inches reported. I don't know if that's contaminated by hail. That's per hour.
That's
okay.
the estimate
this is
per
rate.
hour.
Okay, good.
Yes.
This is estimate per hour, not rate. So 2.83 per hour, 4 inches an hour, 6 inches an hour. Even if you don't get the full 6, it tells you that if you got it for 15 minutes, then you got, you know, roughly a quarter of that. You got 2 inches.
And this is...
You got it quickly. Math in my head while I'm on the fly.
We've already got an inch recorded in South Padre.
Yeah.
Half an inch near Boca Chica, so.
And this is just a live look out from our beach park at Isla Blanca camera as the winds are just whipping out there. Flashes of lightning. We've said it once, we've said it a million times. Sorry if we sound like a broken record, but when thunder roars, go indoors, and just the flashes just keep on continuing. This is such an electric storm. And again, anyone who had brought their camper out for any viewing who may on vacation, whether or not they were here for the SpaceX launch. Yeah. They were still here. They're dealing with that weather right now, and it's a whole island issue, which is again why we're starting to see ground reports of that flooding. We just saw those estimated radar amounts of that rain. It's a mess out there at the island. It's a mess everywhere in virtually all of southern Cameron County. It's not as bad right now in southern Hidalgo or Rio Grande City, but Cameron County has our attention right now at the moment.
And we also have a TxDOT, sorry to interrupt, a live TxDOT camera as well on the island, and now that tells the tale. Short of getting out there with a hanky and wiping the lens, you can see that it's pretty much bad news bears there on the island. And you were talking about how things are improving on the north side, say Willacy County. Well, Willacy County is still dealing with the aftermath, and that is debris and power lines and such down. There's a look at trees blown down, power lines down, all because of the, wow, okay, there you go. Yeah. That's a sure sign that some very strong winds moved on through Willacy County. That's just a sign of what you're going to encounter, especially on the rural roads of Willacy County. And, you know, when you say Willacy County, let's face it, most of the roads are rural. So you need to be watching out for that. It could be some time before the county or the state can get out there and clean, and the electric utility can get out there and clean up some of that mess. So be careful on that. Just because a power line is down doesn't mean it's not on. I'm sure the power companies have shut things down, and that's good, but you just never know. Only the power company knows for sure. So there you go. And what we have here is the latest update on the thunderstorm warning that was downgraded from destructive to standard thunderstorm warning, and that is in effect until, the 2:15. Well, it's still listed as destructive, but
the polygon hasn't been taken off.
Yeah, the polygon
we do
hasn't
have confirmation that that lighter yellow box, the one that doesn't look as peachy, that is just a regular severe thunderstorm warning, but that is still in effect until 2:15.
Both are 2:15 at the
okay, so Rio Hondo is still in it, and Harlingen's still in it till 2:15. But I think it's on the back side. It's safe to say that we're just letting that one wind down. But we still have the threat from Brownsville to Port Isabel, South Padre Island, Boca Chica, Port of Brownsville, and such and like, back in just south of Rancho Viejo, Olmito, a part of that as well, as all that continues to move on to the south. There you can see. As we zoom in, though, some of the lesser known areas start showing up on the map. But nonetheless, this is a serious issue. And this is something that we are still watching moving out of Brownsville and South Padre Island, Port Isabel. You saw the video from South Padre Island and Port Isabel. It's nasty. And Boca Chica Beach, much the same. So this has basically been a rough ride for a lot of people. You've seen the damage video from Willacy County, and we're going to see more of that as the afternoon ticks by. We'll be out shooting video, and so we'll have a report for you coming up at 5:30 and 5 o'clock between CBS 4 and NBC 23. We'll have all those updates for you as to what we face heading out the door. It may be an issue as long as into tomorrow morning. Your Monday morning may be one of having to dodge debris on the roads, as long as it's not power lines. And again, the power company always appreciates you staying away from their stuff because it's deadly. You don't get a second chance with a power line. There's no second chance. You touch it, you're gone. So that's just the way it works. So remember that. Let's go to the west a little bit and let the folks in, Jess.
We can actually take that west over here on Links 1. Okay. And just to give another perspective, when we were telling everyone that the National Weather Service was saying to go to their safe space, they were going to their safe space. We just got the notice a couple minutes ago that they're back. They're on their operation floor. So it's one of those situations where when those people went inside, it's bad. And then, sure enough, thankfully, they're clearing out in Brownsville right now, but we're still dealing with plenty of rainfall, especially between Hidalgo up towards McAllen. Right now, Edinburgh, they're clearing out. They're still seeing some lingering showers, but the lightning situation still has not improved, and you can still get a lightning strike several miles away from the center of a storm, which is why we always make sure that people know to go inside when lightning is there. La Grulla, Sullivan City, Alto Bonito, and points towards the north and west, they're improving, but it's still pretty heavy. Rio Grande City, Roma, out towards Falcon Reservoir, they're clear at the moment. We're not seeing any returns of rain on radar, but the bulk of the strongest storms, where we're seeing the most amount of lightning down towards Grenejo, again, all along that 281 Old Military Highway out towards Progreso, the very most southern part of our counties here in the valley, is who are dealing with still that threat for severe weather. And again, one other look here out towards southern Cameron County. This is just a massive, they're getting a lightning show. If you didn't hear a lot on Thursday, you are certainly hearing it now, the amount of booms out there. Plenty of lightning all across from parts of the island down towards Boca Chica, Port Isabel. You guys are not in the clear as far as weather is concerned. Yes, areas towards Harlingen and San Benito, Los Fresnos, they're better, but the island and the Port Isabel down to the Port of Brownsville and Brownsville proper are not in the clear yet. They are still dealing with the biggest amounts of lightning from this, the strongest of winds, the best potential for hail, and we can just reminding everyone, if you see any debris, be very careful. If you see a flooded road, turn around, don't drown. All these little rhymes are to help us to make sure we stay safe out there in events of exceptional severe weather like we're experiencing right now across the valley, which is not the standard for what we see across the area. Brian, do you have any more information?
Well, yeah, we have power outage updates coming right on in. You want to take that?
Yes, they've gone up. When we last checked them, it was about 30,000 total. Now we're just looking at 33,022 with just AEP, and about 6,161 with Magic Valley. So these power outage numbers will continue to increase throughout the day. Again, a live look at, as far as the map is concerned, of where those areas are that are seeing the most clustered of outages. Towards Harlingen, they got a wall up there. Even though they're in the clear now, they're still dealing with plenty of power outages. And we're going to continue to see all of these numbers increase the further up we go into the evening, which is why we want to make sure everyone stays tuned and stays informed with us, just to make sure that they know what the latest is, and possibly when we're expecting from these power authorities authorities, especially when their power will be restored. One of the things I did earlier today was talk about making sure your cell phone batteries are charged to make sure you can keep that information throughout the day, especially if you did lose power. If you haven't yet, and if you can safely plug something in, I would do that just to make sure if your power goes out, you at least have something to use to communicate with, something that can still connect to the internet, and make sure you get those latest bits of information across the valley. Yes, Brian.
And let's file this under bizarre, that we have a palm tree down at the base of the causeway.
Oh, no.
And it's blocked the causeway. That's why the traffic is all backed
I'll tell you
up.
why. Port Isabel just recorded wind speed of 62 miles per hour, 64 miles per hour. So they're getting wind gusts close to 70 miles per hour over there. So there you go.
Yeah. Palm trees are pretty good at handling wind, but not always. And that one just decided to give up the ghost and fly across the street. I hope no one was injured, but the fire department from Port Isabel is on the scene, and they're taking care of that as we speak. But I thought that was kind of fun to talk about, because the weirdest things happen in severe weather.
And they got to direct traffic out there. Thankfully, they're picking up the debris on that road, but if you see crews out there, please give them space. They're trying to make sure that we're all safe here in our community. So give them plenty of space as they get all of the roads cleared. Now, we just got an update from the National Weather Service. They are going to let that severe thunderstorm warning expire. So it was in effect until 2:15. They're not going to extend it past 2:15. So once 2:15 happens, and the severe thunderstorm watch that was in effect early this morning, that was until 2 o'clock. So just 15 minutes later, which is why we were paying good attention to that. But the warnings, the storm warnings, will expire at 2 o'clock, at 2:15.
And there's damage outside Raymondville. All right, here's the chickens coming home to roost, and that you can see that barn not doing well. And I know what you're saying to yourself. It's a tornado. Not necessarily. The National Weather Service will go out and assess this damage to determine if it was straight line wind or if it was a tornado. But at this point, we're looking at, this is Willacy County, the potential straight line winds can do a lot more damage than a tornado on any given day. You see the window's broken, the barn is a shambles, the roof material is all over the place, the power line, the pole is down. Yeah, that's an example of Mother Nature's power as it continues to push on through and out of the valley, thankfully, heading on to the south and to the southeast. But again, that's just a sign of the fact that why we were crowing so loudly about all of this weather potential for today is simply this, that this can happen in isolated spots. Frank is in FAR, and he has a report for us on just how things are looking on the downside. Frank.
Yes, that's right, Brian. I am here at FAR, and I was just showing this to my photographer, Emiliano Pena. I have broken out my rubber boots. If you have a pair of these and you're going outside, it's a good idea, because there is a lot of flooding. I'm going to drop these here. There is a lot of flooding on the side of the roads and in parking lots and sidewalks. I'm seeing the I-2 frontage here, and there's a lot of cars going through the flooding on the side of the road, and they're creating a huge splash. Now, I've seen semis out here, SUVs, sedan-type cars, and, that introduces a lot of danger with this water on the road. Again, we ask that if you do see standing water, go around, don't drown. We've said it a lot of times, but we're saying it for a reason. We ask that you please be careful. There's been a lot of thunder and lightning also that we've seen out here in the FAR area. And another thing I have to remind you, I'm sure you all well know, but I'm going to be the guy who reminds you that there has been a lot of road work on the highways here in this part of the valley, and that just adds more danger with the roads wet, with a lot of flooding on the side of the roads. We do ask that you please be careful. If you don't have to go anywhere, I'm just going to advise you to stay home. Stay home if you don't have to go anywhere, because these roads, they do have a lot of potential for danger, and there's a lot of semis out here. There's a lot of SUVs, and there is road work, and we do see a lot of flooding on the side of the road. And again, I just want to reiterate, if you have a pair of these and you need to go out, it's probably a good idea to put them on and be very careful where you walk. I do remember a story I did a few years ago where someone was walking in a flood and they stepped on a live wire and they died. So you never know the dangers that are out there. We just want to warn you that it is there are potential for danger out there. And if you can stay inside, it's probably a very good idea, because there is flooding on the side of the roads. There is potential for possible danger out there on the roads, or even just walking around. And for now, I'm going to send it back to the team in the studio. Live and far, I'm Frank McCaffrey.
And Frank, I just have one question for you. Now that you're starting to see some of the clearing, I know you notice it's still raining out there. What would you say to people if they are trying to assess damage, but they still see those showers out there, just to make sure that they're safe as far as any increased flooding concern is concerned?
Again, I'm going to break this out again. It's a great show and tell moment here on camera. Break out the rubber boots, break out a raincoat like what I have. Make sure it's a bright color like what I have in case someone is driving by. They might be out of control. They see a giant yellow raincoat. They're going to see that there's a human being there, and they're going to know to be a little bit careful with how they drive. Also, again, take precautions when you're walking out. You know, I've been in the news business for many years. When you're walking outside in this type of weather, you never know what's at the bottom of the flood. Again, I did a story about a gentleman who stepped on a live wire one time, and that was the end of his life. So just be very vigilant with where you're stepping. Sometimes the water can get kind of muddy and you can't really see, but be very vigilant with where you're stepping because you don't know what you're stepping on. And again, take precautions with the boots you're wearing. Rubber boots like this. A lot of people have these multi-purpose sneakers that are popular these days. Wear those if you need to. Make sure you wear a raincoat that's something that people driving by can see. Just remember, they're going through confusing moments at times while they're driving in a storm like this. So if you have something that's clumsily obvious, like a bright yellow raincoat like what I'm wearing, put it on. Be clumsily obvious that you're a person walking around because there could be fog on the windshield. There's a lot of potential for danger when driving around in this type of atmosphere.
Thank you very much. And you can see and hear some of those flashes of lightning and thunder behind him, so stay safe. One of the few things that we're just sort of to reemphasize that flooding concern that we're looking at across the valley. A few of the flood advisories that are in effect across the valley. One is this polygon here that goes to Hidalgo County into northwestern Cameron County and parts of Williston County. That goes until 3:45 this evening. Another one that we're looking at in southern Hidalgo County, that goes until 5 o'clock this evening. Another flood advisory out towards Starr County. It's not raining there, but again, one of the concerns is just so much ponding and flooding on the roads. That goes until 3:15 this afternoon. Thankfully, it looks like the warnings for that severe thunderstorm out towards Cameron County, those should be popping off of our screen here within the next 10 to 15 seconds. But there is that other flood advisory. It doesn't quite show it on the map there, but there is that other flood advisory, and it makes perfect sense between Laguna Vista out towards the island. That is in effect until later on this afternoon because of just the amounts of rainfall that you have. And one of the concerns that we have on top of that, yes, the storms are over. All this rain out here towards our north, this is still on its way. We're still going to get rain showers. No, they're not going to be severe like we saw earlier this afternoon, but that's just additional rainfall totals and that will come across. Now, I say many times all rain is good rain, but still too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing. So yeah, we needed the rain. That there's no doubt about that, but we're getting just a little too much, a little too fast, and we have that rain concern, that flooding concern going on into the afternoon. Yes, Jessica.
Brian, not only we're dealing with the rain and the flooding concerns, so if you're driving on the roads, I just got word from our reporter, Natasha Trindade. They drove over some debris, it looks like, on the road, and they have a flat tire. So not only are we dealing with the water on the roads, damage and debris that, is blown across the roads is also going to be a concern if you go out driving after this. So it's something to remember as you're going out to assess damage, even though the severe storms are over, there's going to be some debris on the roads, damage on the roads, like Brian Hill said earlier, for those rural areas. You might not be able to pass through some of these areas with tree limbs down, pieces of roofs on the ground, and on top of all that, like we keep saying, there's going to be standing water on the roads. It looks like South Padre Island and other coastal areas, radar indicated that they have received close to 1.5 inches over the last 30 minutes to an hour or so, and they're still seeing rain right now. So make sure you're being careful not only with, going around the rain buildup on the road. We're also going to have to make sure they're being careful with the debris. We don't want to be running over anything. It looks like the causeway still is backed up. Last we heard, there was a downed palm tree. It looks like they're directing traffic as needed and picking up debris when they can. Just remember to try to protect your cars as best you can. Going out and driving through this mess is not a good idea. If you don't need to be anywhere, just stay home until we can safely assess the damage, the debris on the roads. just not a great idea to be out driving right now. So just wanted to mention that. Be careful, keep an eye out on the debris.
Yes, and I'm also joined right now with NBC 23 Chief Meteorologist Freddie Vela, who he's been helping us a lot with as far as the social media side, keeping everyone updated online. Freddie, what's the latest that you have from us as far as developments and updates from the storm?
Yeah, so sorry that I haven't been on air. I've been on our website. I've been updating on our blog. I've been on our social media, Facebook. I had a lot of people come up and talking to me, but what I wanted to talk about was what some of the viewers have been telling me, and that we've still been seeing a lot of these power outages kind of popping up within the area. I was talking to someone that was out towards South Padre Island in Port Isabel, and boy, oh boy, did they tell me about some of the activity that was going on out there, and some of the tree limbs that were broken and that they saw that Jessica was just mentioning. So we encourage you guys to share your photos and videos at share@valleycentral.com. That would be the best place to share some of your photos and videos that we've seen. We're creating a blog on the website, kind of a photo gallery to be able to show a lot of the damage that we've seen. But yeah, as you can tell here, Jessica's kind of moving around the radar. A lot of activity that's been going on. I've loved seeing some of your comments and some of the activity that we've seen. But be careful on the road, folks. Honestly, I've been talking to a few people out towards McAllen. On 10th Street, they had power outages. In Mission, they had power outages. And Brownsville, one lady that I was talking to, a really nice viewer, was talking about how her husband, who works at a local furniture store, that they were preparing to possibly close because the lights were just turning on and off, on and off, on and off. So that just kind of gives you an example. We were getting those wind reports as well that were coming in about some of the strong winds in the area. So I'm going to pass it back over to this great team that's been working on air, and I'm going to go back online to do a little bit of reporting. But Brian Hale and Jessica, fantastic work that you guys have been doing on air.
Well, thank you. And we're also talking about power outages as well. There's additional power outages. My mic is hot, so I think Messi's got my mic on. Yeah, good. Thank you. So basically, yeah, we're looking at the power outages valley-wide and for what's out and what's not. And it's just going to, these reports are just going to continue to get worse, but the debris issue is the issue. We're talking about the opportunity. We can go back to the scan converter and look at the power outages as well. We're talking, there we go. Okay, it's one or the other. Full screen, got it. All right, now we're talking about in Willacy County, there's Lyford, there's Raymondville, and then on back in through Hidalgo County, Mission, McAllen, and then to the east, getting worse and worse on toward Laguna Vista and South Padre Island. I don't know if any of you were here back in, was it late 99 or early 2000 when we had straight line winds that pushed down Highway 100 from 83 or 77 all the way into South Padre Island and snapped every power pole that was out there. I don't think this is going to be quite that bad, but still, it's going to continue to show itself as a fairly aggressive event with a lot of power outages, power lines down, and debris in the roads. I've got an outage graphic map here for you that's updated. 33,223 AEP customers. Magic Valley now up to 6,603 customers. So that just tells you there's a lot of folks that are without power. Thank goodness it's not super hot outside, that the AC will have, you know, we won't have to worry about that for at least a few hours, and hopefully they'll be able to get some of this power up as soon as possible.
And just a quick update, speaking of power outages, this from the National Weather Service. So they had lost power at the building and their generator has failed. So that's just some of the issues that are happening across the valley. So we're going to keep you guys posted as much as they can. But
the best laid plans, you spend all that money on a generator and it poops out. I know, that's just how it happens. I mean, during Hurricane Dolly, our generator's radiator exploded and we had to stick a hose in it to keep it going. So that's just how things happen when you're covering severe weather and enduring severe weather. The best laid plans, as they say. But nonetheless, looking back at our radar image here, you can see
if you could step off the screen real quick.
Step off the screen and I'll let you clear this out.
Since they're having power issues, we're going to go ahead and switch over to our Corpus Christi radar.
Yeah, let's look at the Corpus Christi radar and see.
Just to make sure that we can keep an idea,
Now, what you're seeing, yeah, Brian, what you're seeing to the north there, thank you. What you're seeing to the north here is just additional rainfall that's kind of filled in behind the system. It's not as bad as what we're looking at. Yeah, I don't have my clicker in my hand, so that's not going to help. But anyway, you see the rain back here on through Hidalgo County. That's rain. That's continuing to move. But the gush that came through with all of this, that is a result of the thunderstorms, the leading edge and the dying thunderstorms pushing on through, which have now moved out. moved out. So that you go South Padre Island, Boca Chica, Brownsville. See, it's all now moved out, and that's good news for us as well. What's moved out of the Upper Valley. And did I hear somebody say we have a Corpus Christi?
We have a TechStalk camera out from Corpus Christi.
Yeah, look at that.
Who dealt with the same stuff that we did today. So there's a live look right there.
We are not alone, people. We are not alone. Texas is a big state, but still, on up to the coastal bend, they've been having to deal with that as well, up that way. But that has all moved offshore, so that's good news for them. But for us, it's turning into just now a rain event and a cleanup event. And I want to remind everybody, of course, to stay away from those power lines. It's one and done with the power line. If it's still got juice running through it and you touch it, that's it for you. Hate to be so stark about it, but that's just the way it is. Harlingen, San Benito, Los Fresnos, Bayview, everybody gets to now calmly wait for the rest of the rain to die down, and then go out and pick up your furniture or whatever, those little shingles that have blown off your roof, and or if you have to drive somewhere, to remember to not drive too fast, drive slowly, and just be on the lookout for the debris that's potentially on the roads. This, thankfully, did not turn out to be the hail horror that we were anticipating, thank goodness. I would hate to have seen the large tennis ball-sized hailstones around the valley, so that did not transpire. I've had some folks who've been here many, many years tell me an incident like that happened back in the early 80s, and of course we had the big event that ended up happening in McAllen and Farr back in 2012, 2015, something like that. I'm trying to remember. They did a lot of damage. So thankfully that didn't happen again. But you can see we did end up with some hail still at that last gust as it pushed on through, the last gush of those thunderstorms from near Port Mansfield on down from east of San Perlita on down into Arroyo City and then on down into Port Isabel. So you may have seen some pea-sized hail. You may have seen some larger hail. But again, this is past tense. This is what had happened. And again, it's going to continue to be an issue for those of you who have to do cleanup. Check your cars, check the paint on your car, make sure you don't have to call the insurance company. Your roof. If you've had hail, be sure to let your insurance company know so that they can get out there with an adjuster. Because again, this is all about now a cleanup issue rather than a severe weather issue. You see, all that's moved off. Do we have any watches or warnings left other than flood? Other than the flood, there is nothing in effect except for a marine warning. That's still into effect. But I'm pretty sure if you're watching us here, you're not on the water. No. Just the aerial flood advisories. There's several polygons for them in effect. They range from about 245, and that's the one towards the island. I'm going to back out and let you click that. Yeah, so that it's from about 245, and that one goes right here, 4 o'clock. They've expanded it now to 4 o'clock, and that's for the one out towards South Padre Island, Boca Chica Beach. The one out towards rural Hidalgo, Willacy, and Cameron counties, that aerial flood advisory is in effect until 3:45. And southern Hidalgo County, including McAllen, Alamo, Mission, and Hidalgo, that one's in effect until 5 o'clock. And then out towards Starr County, that one is in effect until 3:15 this afternoon. But again, the reason why the lower valley counties are seeing that extended range is because there's still plenty more rain, plenty more moisture that's moving towards the valley at the moment. I'll step back in, and again, we'll show folks that all of this is continuing on. We've got the radar showing that we still have the rain. That's going to continue to be an issue. But off to the south, it's all moved off to the south now, on down around south of Brownsville, south of Matamoros, south of Progreso, south of Reynosa. This is all pushed on down into Mexico and offshore. So that's something definitely worth noting. Getting back on into the Rio Grande Valley, we've had plenty of rain out there, that's for sure. And that's just been an issue for a lot of folks. But it fell in such a short period of time that street flooding is going to be an issue. If you're in the McAllen area, be on the lookout for that as well. And for my money, we're going to continue to talk about, yep, there we go. I love doing this. This is cool. We're going to continue to talk about how this is all continuing to show up as rainfall. Now, what I want to do, what's the zoom in one? See, I'm getting old. Brian, what's the zoom in one? Right there. Yep. A little bit more, a little bit to your right, to your right. To my right? Yeah, the right.
further, go, and right there.
Right there. Okay, that's the zoom in one.
Yes,
okay.
So yeah, go ahead and draw that zoom in right there.
Hot
towards
dog, I did it. We got a new computer system, so that's old dog, new tricks. Anyway, just to let you know, there's Edinburgh, and you still have rain, and we're still talking about all the conditions along, say, 69 and on down through and along 2. You saw Frank's video and reports from Far. Here's Far, still the light rain in effect, still light rain in around McAllen and North Alamo. So we're not done with it in terms of that, that's for certain. But what we are going to continue to deal with is the threat of street flooding. So that's always going to be an issue no matter what.
And not to cut you off there, Brian, but just to give a little bit of some update of radar indicated rainfall totals that we're looking at across the valley. This is, again, radar indicated, so just to give an idea of why we still have those flooding concerns across the valley. Look at these totals out towards Starr County. Noticing there is still about 2 inches of rain that had quickly fallen, about a little over an inch in Rio Grande City, about an inch in several parts of Hidalgo County, a little bit less so much out towards the middle of the area, towards Harlingen. I swear Harlingen's been spared from about 2 storms now in a row. Fridays and today is not as bad, so I mean, if that's not a statement for relocating to Harlingen, I don't know what is. And then almost an inch and a half out towards South Padre Island, Boca Chica Beach, and more rain is on the way. So we're going to keep you guys informed as we go throughout the evening. We're not anticipating any more severe weather going into the night. But again, tonight on 5 o'clock on NBC 23 and at 5:30 on CBS 4, we're going to give you the latest details for all the information. Again, if you have any pictures, please send them to share@valleycentral.com. And again, one other look that we're looking at for power outages, the most recent from AEP at 33,223, and from Magic Valley at 6,620.
It's 40,000 people right there.
Yeah, about
40,000 customers.
Well, 40,000 customers across the valley. And as soon as those numbers keep on updating, we will keep you guys informed with any of the latest information.
And that's a good idea. And you look at the at the extent of power outages across the valley, and you notice that it's just about everywhere. Not in totality, but everywhere sporadically. And that means power lines are going to be down here and there. Debris is going to be in the roads. And that's just something that we're going to have to contend with over the course of the next several hours. So thank you for being with us on this coverage. We've known this was going to be a wing-ding of an event, and that's exactly how it turned out. It's always best to be prepared. I say fortune favors the prepared, and we wanted to get you up to speed and prepared that this would push through. There are plenty of times when we prepare you and nothing comes of it. Well, sometimes something does come of it, something like this, a destructive storm system. So thank you for staying with us online on valleycentral.com and our newscast tonight. Love to see you there.